Welcome to Believe, the Conspiracy Theory podcast. I'm Phil Green.
And I'm David Ferguson.
And this is a podcast all about the world's craziest conspiracy theories.
Or not so crazy.
Well, exactly, because you are very much a believer.
I believe.
And I am very much a cynic. And in each of these episodes, we bring on a comedian friend to choose the conspiracy theory they want to talk about the most. It might be a conspiracy theory they believe in. It might be a conspiracy theory they don't believe in. Or it might be a conspiracy theory they think is the most ridiculous thing they've ever heard. But we bring them on, we talk about it, we try to prove it or debunk it, or as we know nothing, probably neither.
We are only comedians.
We are only comedians. That is the limit of our ability, and sometimes not even that. Now, we keep forgetting to plug our social media channels. So we have social media channels now. If you go to Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, we are at Believe Conspiracy Podcast. Please give us a like and a follow. And if you do that, we also alert you when the new episodes get dropped. And also, I keep forgetting to promote my tour, which I need to do. I am on tour with my 2023 Edinburgh show, 4 weddings and a breakdown.
It's a great show.
Thank you very much. I've done the first couple of dates. I'm also going to Southampton, Sudbury, Bristol, Brighton, Glasgow, Liverpool, Sheffield, and Poole. And I've just added Peterborough to the list as well. So if you go on to our social media channels or indeed my website, philgreencomedy.com, you can find tickets there. We should also give a big shout out to our tech today, which is the wonderful George.
Yay!
And our guest today is
the wonderful, the fantastic, the totally crazy Sallyann Fellowes.
Sallyann Fellowes, a wonderful comedian. Sallyann recently won the Leicester Square Comedian of the Year award.
Yeah, really wonderful.
She was fantastic in that final. She's also won New Forest Comedian of the Year. She has a fantastic debut solo show, which you've been to see, called Sallyann.
Sallyann, fantastic, weird.
She's a wonderful comedian. She's very, very unique, very, very quirky, and we are very excited about having her on. And actually, when we started this podcast, when we thought about who an ideal guest would be, it would be
Sallyann Fellowes.
She is absolutely perfect for this. She's got some completely batshit crazy stories that we are going to delve into. And the conspiracy theory that Sallyann has chosen is...
time slips are real.
Time slips are real. We're recording this to go out on the 29th of February.
Ooh, the date that doesn't exist.
Let's bring her on.
Sallyann Fellowes!
Get out of the rabbit hole.
It's a fake. Every single bird in the sky is a robot.
It's fiction.
Doubt your government.
It's an urban legend.
They're actually spraying something in the sky?
No way.
A stream of absurdity.
It's a total fabrication.
Welcome to the podcast, Sallyann Fellowes!
Yay! We love Sallyann.
Sallyann Fellowes.
Thank you.
When we started this podcast and we were thinking about who's the target audience, you are the target audience, basically, for this podcast. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Heard you got locked in a loo recently?
Yeah, got locked in the loo in 2 North Down, which is a lovely venue, but I went to see Miles Jupp's show.
Oh, yeah.
And
you weren't even performing?
I wasn't performing, luckily, because I wouldn't have made it to the stage.
Yeah.
And
Where's
I thought, where is she? And I thought, I can't open this door and the show's about to start. And I thought, imagine the humiliation of Miles Jupp going, would you like me to open the door? I'd be like, yes, I do. But actually, a member of staff got me out.
Yeah.
And then I watched to see who else got locked in the toilet. Nobody else. Nobody else.
But being rescued by Miles Jupp would be a hell of a story.
It would, but he probably wouldn't tell it, would he?
No, but it's your story to tell.
It's my story
It's your
now.
truth.
It's mine.
It's your truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were just talking about Barbie, because on the day we're filming this, the Oscar nominations have just come out. We love Barbie. We love Oppenheimer. You love Barbie, but you don't love Oppenheimer.
I don't love Oppenheimer.
Okay.
I can't even say the word Oppenheimer. That's not a real word, is it? It's not normal. No. And I did leave after an hour.
You left?
I left. It was so boring. I thought, say different words, tell a different story, cause an explosion, do something. But I can't. I've eaten my popcorn. I'm going.
Okay.
So I went.
I loved it. I loved Tenet as well, and people hated Tenet. I just like Nolan.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
I think he's great.
In fairness, if you wanted explosions and you went to see Oppenheimer, you would hope there would be an explosion.
You'd think there would be, but
Yeah.
apparently it's not till the end.
No. It's
3 hours is
you
a
have to
long
and even then,
wait.
it's not like the main explosion either.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's just a small explosion.
But I like the sequel. I like the sequel to Oppenheimer.
What's that?
Godzilla -1. Wreck sequel. Have you seen Godzilla -1?
No. Is that when Godzilla doesn't exist anymore?
Well, no. It's just I loved it, and I came out and I cried and everything, and then I was speaking to someone else who saw it and went, "Oh, I thought it was just like a sci-fi version of Dad's Army," and I went, "Oh, okay," because I had an emotional epiphany watching it.
Did you cry during Godzilla -1?
Cry. I was in a state.
Oh my God.
There were, and I don't want to give anything away, but there were 3 moments where tears flooded from my face.
Wow.
And,
That definitely would not have happened in the 1998 version.
oh, good God.
Well,
no.
we might
I
have
did
done
cry
for-
about that,
for
but that was
different
another
reasons.
reason.
Yeah.
The soundtrack to the 1998 version is amazing, though.
Yeah, Jamiroquai.
Oh my God.
Great
Deeper
soundtrack.
Underground is
I want to know what the similarity with Dad's Army is. How does
Well,
that work?
It's just all the little civilian guys getting together to fight a war, and I was like, "But they're getting over war." And and the person I was talking to thought it was very pro-war, the film, whereas I think it's an anti-war, anti-government film. So it was very interesting with very different reviews. But also, Godzilla just looks so good. Like, even when he was killing people, I was like, yeah, they deserve it. You know, like
Good-looking Godzilla.
So beautiful, so much fun. Like, I really loved it. Can't wait to go and see it again.
Yeah. So, Sallyann, conspiracy theories.
Yes.
Now, normally I say to a guest, how do you feel about conspiracy theories? We already know you love conspiracy theories.
I love conspiracy theories, but I would say what I am is a fascinated skeptic.
Okay.
So I am a skeptic, but I have to delve into everything first before I can get all the information. And also some weird things have happened to me, so...
What weird things have happened to you?
So, for instance, when I was in Malta on holiday, I wasn't drunk or anything. I was at other occasions, but on this particular occasion, I just walked through this square and I went, oh, they must be making a film, because everything changed. All the vehicles were like Second World War. All the people were in costume. And I turned to my partner and I went to go, oh, look, they're making a film. And he wasn't there. And it was a matter of seconds, and then it changed again. And then I was going, you'll never guess what just happened. And he went, right. And I thought, oh, okay.
How long were you out for, like, as far as he was concerned?
Well, I think he hadn't noticed.
Okay.
I think he just noticed that I wasn't talking, because I talk all the time, as you know. So it was probably a matter of seconds, that's all.
So you think that you have experienced a time slip?
I think, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
That you're the first person to have actually experienced the conspiracy. That's awesome. It's very exciting. So we are covering time slips. That's the conspiracy theory that you've chosen. So for everyone's benefit, I know you know this already, but time slips refer to reported instances where individuals or groups claim to have experienced a temporary displacement in time. During these episodes, people may find themselves seemingly transported to a different era or time period, often without any apparent explanation. These experiences are typically described as brief and unexpected, with individuals feeling as though they have briefly stepped into the past or the future. Time slips are largely anecdotal and fall within the realm of paranormal or unexplained phenomena. There is no scientific evidence supporting the existence of time slips, and they are often attributed to psychological factors such as altered states of consciousness or vivid imagination. Time slips have been popularized in literature, science fiction, and paranormal discussions, with various stories and accounts circulating over the years. Some people attribute these experiences to the concept of time travel, whereas others view them as more mysterious and unexplained occurrences. While they make for intriguing stories, the scientific community generally approaches the topic with skepticism, emphasizing the lack of empirical evidence for the existence of time slips. So before that happened to you, did you have some belief in it beforehand?
Well, I was aware that it was a thing, but I didn't really believe it or not believe it. I was pretty much on the fence, but I had read about things like that, but I didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, who knows if that was my imagination, but everything was very vivid, like they really were.
And the whole
there.
world around you, everything changed.
There were flags at the front of the building. It was just completely different. They were all wearing green, khaki. My own clothing changed. Just
what were you
really
wearing?
Briefly. Like an army type skirt, like a dark green, really rough material. It was a matter of seconds, and then it went again. And I was just like that, just amazed. But I can't explain that. But I can't say that was time travel, because I don't know. But
but
it was pretty cool.
So do you think You think it was a war?
Yeah, it was Second World War uniform. I
Okay.
know what that looks like from
Yeah.
photographs of like relatives and things like that. People in uniform. But
Yeah. And has it happened any other time?
it happened to me once when I was a nurse in a hospital. A similar sort of thing happened. My clothing changed, and you're going to think that I'm like unbalanced now, but my
We're
thought that
comedians
we
were
thought
all unbalanced. It's fine.
I know.
Don't worry, that's why
I
you're here,
know.
Sallyann.
Yes.
It's concerning, isn't it? But there was a huge dome over my head that wasn't there before, made of glass, and everything changed really, really, really quickly. The beds and my own. I was wearing a big skirt, and I wasn't wearing a big skirt. I was wearing normal nurse's uniform, and then it changed again. And I was thinking, maybe I didn't get enough sleep, or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
When you had those experiences, did you then go home and Google this stuff? As in, did you try to find out more
because it was a really long time ago,
Okay.
and sort of Google would have been in its infancy and
Okay.
before I could afford a laptop. That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
for people that were successful and had more money than me.
I don't want to derail anything 'cause
Yeah.
we're talking about time slips, but are you aware of the phenomenon of psychometry?
No, go on.
Okay,
what's
so
that?
psychometry, and that's what I think you're experiencing. So psychometry is the ability to read the history of an object. So you can hold a stone, and you're able to visualize what that stone went through. But it can also happen in locations and whatever. I have an uncle that saw a massacre in Scotland, and he freaked out, and it turned out it was historically something that had happened like 500 years before. Some Highland soldiers killed some other soldiers. He thinks they're British soldiers or English soldiers, but he's not clear because he said it was hazy. And he went, someone must have slipped something in his drink, and that's his explanation for it. But psychometry is the ability to read the history of an object.
So he didn't go to the place physically.
No, he did. He was in Scotland. It was no,
but I
Edinburgh.
mean, like he was seeing what happened in the past rather than like you were.
Yes.
rather than
Sallyann
being
had a very
transported
physical
into-
experience.
Yeah. Okay.
Which it was more of a time slip. He thought he had something dodgy put in his drink, but the experience that you've had, where you were momentarily there, I think it was just you reading the history. Psychometry, but I feel like I've derailed the whole.
No. Not
There
at
we
all.
go. Time slip solved. It's psychic
Oh, that's
abilities.
interesting.
So causes of time slips. There's a number of proposed causes of time slips. One is temporal anomalies. Some suggest that certain locations might have temporal anomalies or rifts that cause time slips. So maybe where that happened to you in Malta, that might be common. If we Google that now, it might be that other people have had the similar experience.
I mean,
there.
the history in Malta is really, really interesting. There's unknown artifacts in Malta that don't correspond to any cultures that have been there. So there's lines that look like they could be for trains, but they're like thousands of years old, and they don't know
yeah.
what that's for. Malta's a bit odd. Like Malta also has underground.
I'm so going to
stuff.
Malta now.
Yeah, Malta's.
Yeah, I'm going again.
Yeah.
In a few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
If only for 3 days, but
Yeah.
I want to see if it happens again.
Wouldn't that be
Or-
amazing? Oh, you have to come back and tell us if it happens
I
again.
will.
And whether it's the same year. This is fascinating stuff,
Yeah.
isn't it? Parallel universes. This is the idea that individuals might temporarily cross over into a parallel universe where time flows differently. So I don't think that's necessarily what you've experienced. Psychological factors. Some researchers propose that time slips are related to psychological factors such as altered states of consciousness, temporal lobe epilepsy, or other cognitive phenomena that can create a sense of time distortion. Misperception. People may misinterpret or misremember their experiences, leading them to believe in a time slip. Memory is not always reliable, and the brain can sometimes create false memories. But you felt immediately, it's not like you reflected back on that, it was immediately at that
it was
time.
there and then.
Yeah.
Instant. And
Yeah.
I just thought, suddenly all these extras have appeared. And then I looked at myself and I thought, hang on a minute, it was because I was taking a step and I had jeans on and I couldn't take a big step. And I looked down and I had a skirt on. But it was really quick, really quick. So
The
weird.
fact that you thought you were walking onto a movie set, I mean, it
Yeah,
wasn't you
it
going,
really-
it wasn't you putting a supernatural or outrageous explanation.
No,
you
no.
actually went for the most common thing, And
yeah, just assumed, it was.
that's.
yeah.
One of the consistencies, and we'll go into them, but some of the consistencies of...
And you believe as well. You never look like this ever.
No, it's okay. It's not that I believe, but it's that of all the cases of these, in a lot of them, that exact line is consistent, that people think they stepped into a movie set.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they feel like they've accidentally wandered. Even with the most famous one, which we're going to go into, this was pre-movies really, but they thought they'd walked into some kind of enactment or kind of historic enactment thing. So that's a very consistent thing, because that must be the brain explaining. Otherwise, how else could you rationally explain it? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, like the way people see Jesus in the toast, isn't it? It's like, oh, look, there's Jesus.
But that is how
just
Jesus
toast.
turns out.
Yeah, he does live in toast.
He does live in
Yeah.
Is
toast.
the bread of life.
Yeah, there we go.
Not wholemeal though.
No.
No, that's wrong.
Sensory deprivation. Extreme conditions like sensory deprivation or isolation may alter one's perception of time. For example, spreading an extended period in a featureless environment might make time seem to pass more slowly. And the last one is cultural influences, cultural beliefs and stories about time slips that may influence people's interpretations of their experiences. Cultural factors can play a significant role in shaping how individuals understand and describe unusual phenomena. That's quite a difficult one to know whether you've experienced that, because you, like you said, you immediately knew you were in a Second World War uniform, or you knew that other people were in a Second World War uniform. You were able to instantly recognize that, which means you must have, through films and TV programs and books and everything else, that's information's in your head to be able to paint that picture, even if it's whether it's real or not. Do you know what I mean? So we can never separate what we already know from what actually happened.
Exactly, because that's in there. It's locked in, isn't it?
I mean, because I've experienced hallucinations in my life, and have you ever experienced hallucinations?
I wouldn't. Well, I don't know. I've seen things that I don't know if they're hallucinations or not. So I don't know.
Well, when I was very much younger, it stopped when I got to about 10, but I could see like fairies and shit.
Very cool.
But
could they see you?
But I am a fairy. But when I was very young, I had night terrors, and one day I was in school, and there was a BBC TV program. It was an adaptation of the Triffids. And I've never been more scared of anything in my life. I recently watched the DVD of the Triffids, the BBC show.
Oh, it's a great film.
And faced it head on. And I was my 7-year-old self was just crying, screaming inside me. I'm like, I'm going to watch this. It's fine. It wasn't that bad. But the reason I'm mentioning this about hallucinations, I was in class doing a quiz, a test that kids do, and a Triffid came into the room. Like 8 foot tall, and I was like, oh my God.
Were you on any kind of medication at the time?
No.
Okay.
Later in life I was, but not then. And I remember just being very, very still, going, this is not real, and it faded away.
But you've got those preloaded in your head.
Yeah.
The vision of the Triffids.
Yeah.
So you don't believe that happened?
No. But what I'm saying is it was very, 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 very real.
Yeah.
And how do I come? I sound like the cynic here, but I'm just saying, like, hallucinations. The reason that I'm mentioning it is you didn't have an hallucination, you had an experience. An hallucination is a different thing.
Well, I don't know if that was a hallucination, because I can't really say. It's difficult to know.
That's a pattern.
It's happened twice, but I mean, some people, maybe it happens lots of times too. I don't really know.
Some people have to build a DeLorean.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I want to go in that car.
I think we all do.
Me too.
Yeah.
So the most famous, there's a number of famous cases of time slips, or reported time slips. Probably the most well-known is one called the Mobley-Jourdain incident, which happened in Versailles in 1901. So Charlotte Anne Mobley and Eleanor Jourdain claimed to have experienced a time slip at the Palace of Versailles in 1901. In 1911, Mobley and Jourdain published a book entitled An Adventure under the names of Elizabeth Morrison and Frances Lamont. Their book describes a visit they made to Petit Trianon. I'm going to go with that. A small chateau in the grounds of the Palace of Versailles, where they claimed to have seen the gardens as they had been in the late 18th century, as well as ghosts, including Marie Antoinette and others. Their story caused a sensation and was subject to much ridicule. You know about this because you sent me the details of this one.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
You find this one fascinating, right?
I find it fascinating because it's before social media and movies and stuff. And I first read about it in a really ancient Reader's Digest. You know, back in the day, you could get Reader's Digest in the doctor's surgery.
Yeah.
And I was a kid. That's how long ago it was, because I was born in the Victorian times. And basically, this story was
the time slips.
It's a time slip, exactly.
She's a ghost.
I am a ghost. I'm not real.
You're not going back there. You're coming forward.
I'm coming forward.
Yeah.
I have a TARDIS outside.
Yeah.
Now that's something I would like to go in. But anyway.
Do you think she just comes forward, wins a comedy competition, and goes back?
Oh,
Yeah,
it's a pre-stand-up
I do.
days.
That's
Yeah.
what I do.
That's-
That is what I do.
What a great, yeah.
I'm not real. But yeah, no, I did. I read the article in the Reader's Digest, and I was fascinated by that. And I was really young, and then I sort of forgot about it, and then remembered again. Every so often, I remembered again. So maybe that has influenced how I saw that thing in Malta, and how that thing happened to me when I was a nurse. But I don't know. I can't say, because memories are in there, aren't they? And
Yeah.
if they influence what you see,
But to
I
be
don't
so,
know,
for it to be
but-
so vivid, because it's a completely different environment, a completely different time that
Yeah.
you visited compared to this one.
Yes.
So even if you did have that story in your head, you still had to create something completely different. Like, it's not like you've taken this information and painted the same picture. It's a different picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so
And
interesting.
the actual transcript of that is in the Bodleian Library in Oxford. And because I'm a massive nerd, I've seen it. So because
the original?
yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's in a reference library in the Bodleian Library. But yeah, so I don't have any friends. But that's,
Neither do we. That's why we're here.
Hey, this is our social life.
Yeah.
That's why he pits up with me.
Conspiracy theories are our friend.
exactly.
So they collected, they recollected travelling with a guidebook, but they said they became lost and entered a lane where they bypassed their destination. Morley reported that she noticed a woman shaking a white cloth out of a window, while Jourdain recalled noticing an old deserted farmhouse, outside of which was an old plough. At this point, they described a feeling of oppression and dreariness coming over them. After which, men who they thought looked like palace gardeners told them to go straight on. Morley described the men as very dignified officials, dressed in long greyish-green coats with small three-cornered hats. Jourdain recalled that she noticed a cottage with a woman holding out a jug to a girl in the doorway, describing it as a living picture, much like Madame Tussauds waxworks. Morley did not observe the cottage, but remembered that she felt the atmosphere change. She wrote, "Suddenly everything looks unnatural, therefore unpleasant. Even the trees seemed to become flat and lifeless, like wood worked in tapestry. There were no effects of light and shade, and no wind stirred the trees." They reported reaching the edge of a wood, close to and coming across a man seated behind a garden kiosk wearing a cloak and a large shady hat. According to Morley, his appearance was most repulsive, his expression odious, his complexion was dark and rough. Jourdain noted the man turned his face and was marked by smallpox. His complexion was very dark, the expression was evil and yet unseeing, and although I did not feel like that he was looking particularly at us, I felt a repugnance to going past him. They said that another man, whom they described as tall, with dark eyes and crisp curling black hair under a large sombrero hat, came to them and showed them the way to Petit Trianon.
Yeah, wow.
It's very detailed.
It's very detailed. And what's unusual, I think, from what I know about these sort of things, is they both saw similar things, whereas usually one person will see it and the other person not. So,
But then if they both saw the same thing and had exactly the same accounts, that in itself might raise suspicion, because we don't all have the same accounts of the same thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that's
So
true.
the fact, because there are variances in their
Yeah.
stories, like one of them says that they saw Marie Antoinette and the other one doesn't. So that, if anything, almost makes it more conceivable.
Yeah.
But maybe that was their intention, to say, well, if we got the same story, people won't believe us. But you're right.
That's very sophisticated, though.
Yeah,
like-
it would be. And particularly for the time. We're talking about 1911, before.
Yeah, and they're women, like, you know.
Yeah, and they were teachers, but that was unusual for the time for two women to travel together like that.
Oh,
Maybe
Well,
she was from my gang.
There are
Okay.
rumours that she was.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. We'll go on to that. Mobley said that she noticed a lady sketching on the grass who looked at them after they crossed a bridge to reach the gardens in front of the palace. She later described the lady as wearing a light summer dress and a shady white hat with much fair hair. Mobley reported that she thought she was a tourist at first, but the dress appeared to be old-fashioned. Mobley came to believe that the lady was Marie Antoinette. Jourdain, however, did not see the lady. At their return to the palace, they reported that they were directed around to the entrance and joined a party of other visitors. They said that after they toured the house, they had a tea at the Hotel de Reservoir before returning to Jourdain's apartment. So they met Marie Antoinette. Well, one of them saw Marie Antoinette.
Drawing.
Yeah.
But then if you're in the home of Marie Antoinette or the gardens of the home of Marie Antoinette,
Yeah.
Wouldn't you see her?
yeah.
It's like when people go to castles and they say, "Oh, I saw the ghost of Anne Boleyn with her head under her arm," and you think, "Well, okay, but she didn't live in that castle, so you're creating something maybe in your head that's."
I did see her at the
associated
London
with it.
dungeon.
Did you see her?
Yeah, that's where she is now.
Did she have her head under her arm?
Yeah, head under her arm.
Did she?
Yeah.
Did she wink at you?
A little bit, yeah.
Did she?
Yeah.
Lucky.
And I thought, well, I did think, is this just me or is this everyone? But
Yeah.
you want to believe that we've got that connection, don't you?
You've got to believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got to believe it. Yeah.
According to Jourdain and Mobley, neither woman mentioned the incident to one another until a week after leaving Versailles, when Mobley, in a letter to her sister about the trip, started writing about the afternoon in the Versailles incident. She reported that she reportedly asked Jourdain if she thought that the Petit Trianon was haunted, and Jourdain told her she thought it was. 3 months later in Oxford, the pair said they compared their notes and decided to write separate accounts of what happened, whilst also researching the history of the Trianon. They thought they might have seen events that took place on the 10th of August 1792, only 6 weeks before the abolition of the French monarchy, when the Tuileries, I'm going to pronounce that wrong, palace in Paris was besieged and the king's Swiss guards were massacred. It's very specific in terms of time. The thing with this, and going to on the cynical side of this,
Yeah.
like you said, two teachers, two writers,
Yep.
decide to write a book. Even back then, writing a book, I mean, I know they didn't use their real names, but writing a book does make you money. So it's difficult to know whether or not they did this for any level of recognition or they genuinely believed it. But you've seen it.
Well, I've seen something. I don't know exactly what that was, but I've seen something. But don't you think it's weird that they didn't talk to each other, apparently, about the incident? Like, as soon as that weird thing happened to me in Malta, I was going to my partner, "Whoa, did you see all those cars? And did you see..." And he just didn't know what I was talking about.
Yeah, but in fairness, you're a comedian, Sallyann, so...
I know, yeah. See, that's
Anything you
fatal,
can-
isn't it?
yeah.
Anything I say is just about, oh, there she goes again.
Like getting locked in the loo.
Oh, you
Most
get
people
locked
go,
in the loo,
first thing
yeah.
you did when you came in, got locked in the loo last night.
I don't go in a toilet now. I just go in the garden.
Dangerous.
I haven't got a garden.
That's the Victorian thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
According to their narrative, they visited the Trianon Gardens again on several occasions, but were unable to trace the path they took. Various landmarks, such as the kiosk and the bridge, were missing, and the grounds were full of people. Trying to come up with an explanation, they wondered if they had stumbled across a private party or an event booked that day. However, they found nothing that had been booked that afternoon. Through their research, they thought they recognised the man they reportedly saw by the kiosk as Comte de Vaudreuil. I'm going to pronounce all this wrong, so I apologise to any French people. A friend of Marie Antoinette, who herself Mobley had claimed to see. Convinced that the grounds were haunted, they decided to publish their story. The book, containing the claim that Marie Antoinette had been encountered in 1901, caused a sensation. However, many critics did not take it seriously on the grounds of the implausibilities and inconsistencies that it contained. A review of the book suggested that the women had misinterpreted normal events that they had experienced. In 1903, an old map of Trianon Gardens was found and showed a bridge that the two women had claimed to have crossed that had not been on any other map. The identity of the authors of An Adventure was not made public until 1931. That, I find, the most interesting thing about the story.
That is interesting.
Because how would you know?
Well, you wouldn't, would you?
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you had some knowledge of the grounds that you worked there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To be able to describe exactly where it was, too.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I won't bring up a different example because it'll confuse the issue. But there is one that I can think of
No,
where
do.
there is.
Oh,
yeah, is it
yeah,
cool?
Pick it up, yeah.
Oh, okay. I think you're probably aware of the situation in 19th of October 1957. Some air cadets were walking near a village called Kersey, which is near Ipswich, and they crossed the fields and they were going into Kersey itself, which is a tiny little sleepy village. I went there to investigate because I am autistic. But yeah, so of course I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I have no friends. But basically, what happened to them is the whole place was deserted, and they looked at the church. And for some reason, the steeple wasn't there. And that's why they thought, oh, this is weird. And it had been there before, the church. And they walked through the village centre and they saw this deserted butcher's with a carcass of meat, sorry, vegetarians, gross, hanging and rotting. And the whole place had an eeriness of bleak, I don't know what, bad. And they found out later that the steeple had been taken down for repairs in the 1600s, and maybe it was something to do with plague and that everyone had left or died.
Yeah.
But they found out that the date, the steeple had been taken down in that time.
And all three of them?
I think there were four, actually.
Okay.
I think the four guys, they all saw exactly the same thing, which is really unusual, unless you attribute it to some kind of hysteria or drug use or something. But they hadn't done that. They were pretty just little 50-year-old
Weren't they like scouts
guys.
or something like that, or from because I read a little bit about that, but yeah, they did seem pretty straight-laced.
Yeah,
so.
straight-laced guys, just out for a walk, out rambling, whatever. So that's weird, isn't it? So yeah, Kersey. You can go there and see nothing, which is what I did. But it's very nice, you know.
That feeling of eeriness and
Yeah.
dreariness that they talk about here, and obviously these four lads talked about. Did you feel that before the incident in Malta or the incident when you were a nurse?
No, not
Just
at all.
happened?
It just happened, and then it went away again.
Okay.
And I just wondered if there was something wrong with me. I mean, maybe there is. I know you're laughing. If you think that's true.
But if there was something wrong with you, it would have happened again. It would happen more frequently.
True. Yeah,
Like it's because these things do happen. Like there is mental health issues and what have you.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
That's not what you're describing. And also, you weren't distressed. Not that that's always
not at all. No.
a reason to say it's not mental health, but I find it very interesting that it happened to you, and it was just a moment, like someone turned a switch and then turned it off again.
Yeah, literally just that. Literally just watching a movie, being part of a movie,
Yeah,
and then not being part of a movie.
yeah.
So,
Like you were in a musical.
yeah,
where everyone
I love
dances the-
musicals.
Imagine if you stepped into a musical version of the 1940s. That'd be amazing.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah.
What musical is about the 1940s?
Sound of Music.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we should put it on. We should do a comedian's conspiracy theory.
Yep.
Sound of Music.
Oh, yeah.
How cool would that be?
Oh, God.
That'll be our live show.
Oh, seriously.
Absolutely. You are 16 going on 17.
I know. It's the foundation.
Yeah.
Both women claimed many paranormal experiences before and after their adventure. One of them, Morbely, claimed to have seen in the Louvre in 1914 an apparition of the Roman Emperor Constantine, a man of unusual height, wearing a gold crown and a toga. He was not observed by anyone else. During the First World War, Jourdain became convinced that a German spy was hiding in the college. After developing increasingly autocratic behaviour, she died suddenly in 1924 and in the middle of an academic scandal over the leadership of her college, her conduct having provoked mass resignations of academic staff. Morbely died in 1937. It's hard to know if this is a historical count of these women have gone a bit nuts and a man's writing this, or they actually they had psychological problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very much so.
Yeah. But I wonder if an experience like that, where you write a book, it gets published, and you are widely discredited when you are, a professional, is quite a harrowing experience, I imagine.
Yeah.
Ridicule is something to be afraid of.
Yeah.
You know,
Prince Charming.
Prince Charming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually
Exactly.
the lesson of that song. It's not true. To be ridiculed and be hung out to dry. it can be really hard. But maybe they were just mental.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the
maybe
thing.
they
They may
were.
just be mental.
Yeah.
So explanations, a non-supernatural explanation of events was proposed by Philippe Julien in his 1965 biography of the aristocratic, decadent French poet Robert de Montesquieu. Have you read that? Okay, well, let me tell you about it. At the time of Mobley and Jourdain's excursion to Versailles, Montesquieu lived nearby and reportedly gave parties in the grounds where his friends dressed in period costume and performed tableaux vivants as part of the party entertainment. See, I can do French. Mobley and Jourdain may have inadvertently gate-crashed a gay fancy dress party that they confused for a haunting. The Marie Antoinette figure could have been a society lady or cross-dresser. The pock-marked man, Montesquieu himself, and it was suggested that a gathering of the French decadent avant-garde of the time could have made a sinister impression on the two middle-class Edwardian spinsters who would have been little used to such company. In a review of the history of the Morblay-Jourdain adventure in the extensive public reaction to it, Terry Castle noted with scepticism the claim that a shared delusion may have arisen out of a lesbian folie à deux between the two women. There you go. It's because they're lesbians.
They were lesbians. Of
Yeah,
course they
that's
were.
what it
Of course
is.
they were
That's the
mental.
reason.
You know what they say about lesbians? Never trust them.
Castle concludes that when all proposed explanations have been considered, a core of mystery remains as much in relation to the psychological dynamics of the pair as to any aspects of paranormal associated with their history. I don't know if it matters if they're in a relationship. No. Because they're still not giving the same account.
No, and
Like-
also there was two things I actually want to refute there. They said about it was the guy running the party. That was the guy that was pockmarked. Well, if you've survived smallpox, it's a very, very serious thing. Like you it's not like bad acne or chickenpox.
Oh, it's really bad,
It's
yeah.
horrific. So like that's a different thing. And also no accounting for the bridge.
Yeah.
True.
This is the thing, right? I read all of this, obviously, and the bridge thing is the thing I can't get over. Hey.
Interesting.
I
I see what you did there.
didn't even mean that. Psychologist Leonard Zuntz suggested that it was a hallucinatory experience embellished over time by the two women finding out more about the history of the palace. It's interesting that it's mostly men discrediting this. Brian Dunning of Skeptoid concluded that Mobley and Jourdain were simply human and they were mistaken. He notes that editions of an adventure were embellished each time they were published and inconsistencies in their memories were apparent. For example, in the second edition, the pair wrote that Mobley did not mention the sketching woman to Jourdain until 3 months after their visit to Versailles, and Jourdain did not remember such a thing. In contrast, Mobley did not remember much of what Jourdain described. It was only after much discussion, note sharing and historical research that Mobley and Jourdain came up with a time period as 1789 and assigned identities to a few of the characters they saw, including Marie Antoinette herself and the lady sketching on the lawn. As Mobley and Jourdain admitted they had been lost on the vast grounds of Versailles, Dunning notes that their descriptions of footbridges and kiosks could fit any number of existing structures. The thing is, it doesn't really matter if the characters were Marie Antoinette.
Yeah,
It doesn't
I mean,
really
how would you
matter.
know?
They just saw
No.
a woman, and yes, you've got that displacement in your brain. You've got that knowledge of I'm in the Palace of Versailles. That
Therefore, it probably
yeah,
is.
therefore
or
it's probably
something.
That's your
Yeah.
brain making sense of what you're seeing. But if you didn't see anything, you surely wouldn't just go and write a book about it. And not at that time. And like we said, as two women.
I wouldn't have thought so unless you were like Barbara Cartland. So,
And also, there is a tradition of writing stories as if they really happened, and they're works of fiction, like Robinson Crusoe and
yeah.
Gulliver's Travels was a travel documentary originally, unless I'm very much mistaken.
Was it?
Yeah, it was meant to be. I mean, it was fiction, but it was like it really happened. Wink, wink. You know, I know it's still. I mean, Gulliver's Travels survived to this day.
So those tiny people are real. I thought they were. Oh,
That's no way to talk about Phil.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, so
That's one for the
rude,
YouTube
Phil,
viewers. So this story, we'll move on to a couple of others here, but do you know this story very well? Do you believe them?
I think I do, but it's really hard to say, isn't it? Because all I've got is something to read that they have said. But the bridge thing kind of sways it for me. You know, it really does. And I don't know that they would want to publish something like that for the money, because it would discredit them massively, and they wouldn't get any work
That's
as a
the
teacher.
thing.
As women, it's so difficult to have a professional career back then. I don't think they would have done that.
Was the juice worth the squeeze?
They must
Yeah.
have thought when they're writing this is a bit batshit. They must have fully believed in what they'd seen, because
Yeah,
why
I
would
would
you
think so.
risk anything that discredits you? Like, you're right, an actual career at
Yeah.
that time as two women.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly one of them didn't have a great time afterwards.
No.
So
No, I feel quite sorry for her.
I feel sorry for her too. Although we don't know on the internet, so she might be filling the books.
Yeah, might
Yeah.
have been.
She might have had, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So there's quite a few other cases. Time traveling urban couple in London in the 1950s. A couple in the 1950s claimed to have stepped into the past while walking in the vicinity of the British Museum in London.
Yeah.
They reported seeing a busy street from the 19th century before suddenly returning to the present. They could just have been in the British Museum.
Yeah, where everything's old in there, isn't it?
Exactly.
I walk around there quite a bit, because
Yeah.
it's kind of exciting, and
Yeah.
It's a nice area.
it really is.
Yeah.
And because I walk there to go from central London to King's Cross, so I
Oh,
walk
right.
around.
Yeah.
So I'm getting my steps in,
Yeah.
and that's what I do. I'm only at 14,000 steps right now.
Whoa.
Oh, that's low. That's low today.
That's not low.
Yeah, no, 20's been my average this year.
No way.
That's good.
Yeah, I get up in the morning, go for a walk, come back, have coffee, go for another walk.
You must have really hard feet.
I've got hooves.
Yeah, hooves. I was trying to think, what's the guy called? Pan, who lives in the wardrobe.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't live in a wardrobe anymore. I came out years ago.
Hey!
You know that.
See,
I
we can
know
drop
that.
the tone.
We can, yeah.
But I love walking around. I get a weird vibe around the British Museum. Colonialism. No,
It is
but
a weird museum.
It is.
It's-
I
It is
love
weird,
it though.
yeah.
I love it, and walking around.
Yeah.
But London has that everywhere. There's so many places in London. You just
Yeah.
who did I just walk through? You know, oh, who was that person? You know, like the like, especially around, like, well, not especially around. There's loads of places you walk around and go, this is where I'm not in the same. Especially walking around Soho and what have you.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe that's just the drugs I took. No, I did not
Hooray.
take any drugs. I haven't done anything. I'm a good boy. I am. Sorry.
We'll cut that out.
We'll cut that out.
Liverpool time slip. This was in Bold Street in 1996. This is actually the most recent example that we have.
Oh, is that the police officer?
So a man claimed to have experienced a time slip on Bold Street in Liverpool, England in 1996. He described seeing an old-fashioned street scene complete with period clothing and horse-drawn carriages before everything returned to normal. Is that the one you're thinking of?
Was he a police officer?
It doesn't say.
Oh, it doesn't say. I don't know if that's the same one or not. But.
My mind's playing tricks because the police officer's ringing a bell with me, but I don't know. Don't know.
It was Liverpool, definitely, the
Yeah.
one I'm talking about.
Then I imagine it probably
Yeah.
was this one. Yeah, it doesn't say. There's consistencies here, right? Stepping into a street from a different period, everything around you changes, and then immediately coming back out of it. That's the consistency. And admittedly, by this time, you could have read, especially by the 90s, you could have read multiple accounts of
Oh,
this. But just the older ones.
Well, I mean, the thing is, there's things that can change your perceptions, like ultrasound and what have you, and that's been used. It's been used in some movies. Like there's a movie called Irreversible, a French movie. It's a horrific film. Do not watch it. But that uses sounds to get you feeling uneasy. And that can also prompt illusions, hallucinations, and it might be that you just walk past ultrasound or microwaves, and it affects your ability, and suddenly you're somewhere. So it might not be a time slip. It could have happened, if that makes sense. And especially now, like, you know, dodgy microwave, you're traveling in time, you know.
Yeah.
But as much as I'm making a joke of it, these things do happen, and they are documented. You know, like we were talking about one of the reasons for time slips is sensory deprivation. There's weird ways that sensory deprivation can happen. So you can be out and about, but you haven't heard any sound for a while, so your brain starts to fill that in, and then the brain filling it in, and then you start hallucinating things. You know, having conversations with yourself. I mean, that's been documented. That's why it's not good to be lonely. That's why solitary confinement works. I don't know what I'm talking about. I am a comedian. But do you know what I mean? Like I'm just throwing that out there because you're both looking at me blankly. I'm going, have I said the wrong thing?
Not yet.
Oh, good.
It's fine.
Women, no.
Never trust them.
If you had to travel in time and you had the choice between a DeLorean and hot tub time machine, which would you go for?
Oh, the DeLorean.
Ooh, a DeLorean. I mean, a hot tub. That's like other people's skin and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Well, not unless you just travel in it alone, but that's weird.
Yeah.
A hot tub's a group
I'd
thing.
have to be in a swimming costume.
As a gay man, Saltburn hot tub might be okay. No, that's disgusting. Don't watch the movie. Actually, I love Saltburn. Didn't get any Oscar nominations.
No,
I haven't seen it.
Scandalous.
Is it good?
Rosamund
It's
Pike
really
should have got Best Supporting Actress.
She is phenomenal. In it.
Phenomenal.
Really?
Really?
Brilliant. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
I definitely recommend that one.
Ah,
I loved Saltburn.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it.
It's no Oppenheimer.
Thank God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, a cell phone in 1928. This is quite a famous one. This does the rounds on social media quite a lot.
Right.
In a video circulating online, a woman appears to be holding a device that resembles a modern smartphone in a Charlie Chaplin film from 1928 called The Circus. This has led to speculation about time travel, although skeptics argue that the object may have been a mundane explanation. Have you seen this photo?
Yes.
I haven't seen that particular one, but I've seen a different one where there's a guy in modern clothing with
sunglasses
sunglasses.
and an M on his t-shirt.
Yeah, I've seen that one. But I mean, who knows? I mean, if you did travel time and you were able to travel faster than light, because apparently, according to Einstein, that's what you'd need, or a TARDIS. And I don't have either. But
Yet.
Yeah, I know. I'm building it. Basically, what you wouldn't be able to take anything with you, would you? You wouldn't, or would you?
Well,
depends.
based on your experience, no, because you ended up wearing clothes that weren't yours, right? So
Yeah, they weren't mine. No,
Yeah.
I don't wear things made of crushed digestive biscuits. That's just wrong. As fashion police,
No.
I wouldn't wear that.
A skirt that doesn't allow movement.
It doesn't. No, I don't like that. No.
What I want to know is, because I've seen this video, like it is. This is
I know
genuine.
the clip that you're talking about.
Yeah, this is genuine in the sense that they've looked at the original version of the film and you can see the woman looking. I mean, it's obviously very grainy. It's 1928. It's black and white. It's not of a high quality. But there is a woman who's walking along, looking like she's talking into an object and holding something to her ear. That's the video. It's worth checking out on YouTube. What I want to know is, who's she on the phone to? In 1928.
Yeah. Well, how does that work?
Yeah.
Somebody else in a different time.
Yeah.
I mean, phones can't do that yet.
No.
I mean, I've never got a signal. I can't alone this time. No.
Can't get something in here.
Well, one of my favorite things about the reboot of Doctor Who, sadly no more, is that Billie Piper's Rose, her mobile phone, her cell phone, you could phone through time.
Yeah.
I thought that was such a great thing.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like it's, if that's someone on a cell phone, on a mobile phone, phoning through time, that's why not.
Do you reckon that's where Doctor Who got the idea from?
Well, it was circulating before then because
Yeah.
it's one of those things like, oh, have you seen this? However, I do have an explanation.
Go on.
It's a wireless radio.
Really? Yeah, because they were. Yeah.
Like they did exist, like
really?
in
Did they?
and that's what I think it is. Or she was just mental.
Yeah.
I've said mental twice in this episode. I just want to say I can say that because I am mental, heavily medicated.
I am also mental.
Yes.
So that's fun.
And it's a love. I like
It's a
being
good way
mental.
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
And I'm here because this is an elaborate care in the community.
Because you're the scientist doing the experiments. That's right.
That's why they're here. That is a plausible explanation.
Why am I the cynic today?
Yeah, I know. It's weird how this is reversed, isn't it? But because she's holding something, like you can see that, and it's quite blocky. But that does make sense that it's a wireless. Although I can't see any aerial on it, but it's so grainy that it'd be difficult to see that. Okay. Well, we solved that today.
We're great.
Oh, I'm going to check that out.
All right. So, possible explanation. Skeptics argue that time slips are products of misinterpretation, false memories, or psychological factors. The human mind, capable of creating vivid and imaginative narratives, may construct these experiences as a way to make sense of the inexplicable. Cognitive phenomena, such as deja vu, where individuals feel they have experienced a situation before, may contribute to the perception of time slips. Do we all feel that we've experienced deja vu?
Yeah, I think I
Yes.
have. Yeah.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
do we believe in deja vu? As in, do you
Well-
feel like you've been there before, or you've had a premonition in a dream of something that then happens?
Yeah, I've had that. I've had premonitions in dreams, and it's happened. I have done that, but I
Can you
don't
give us
know
an
whether.
example?
Let me think.
You don't have to, but
I'm just trying to think of an example. Okay. So David knows about this because I did it in my show about my mum and everything.
your
This
show.
is-
What's your show called?
Oh, my show is called Sallyann because it's a take on Alien and my name. So because I'm weird and I'm from
It's a
outer
very
space.
good name for a show.
Yeah,
It is
Sallyann.
very-
Sallyann Fellowes,
Yeah, yeah.
Sallyann.
Oh, do you know what? That was Roland Saunders' idea. So give him the credit for that.
great
'cause
Roland
he's-
Saunders.
Well done, Roland. But basically, what happened is I was only about 8 and I was in class at school, and just suddenly it was like I was watching a massive cinema screen, movie screen, and on that screen I could see my mum in a dressing gown collapsed on the staircase of my house. Not my house. I was 8. I didn't know. I still don't own a house. What a surprise! Basically, she was collapsed on the stairs. I could see a slipper, her foot half out of a slipper, and some what I now know are tablets on the actual stairs. And I screamed and shouted until they woke my dad, not my dad, who was in a different place then, but my granddad off nights because he was a security guard in Reader's Digest. Callback, thank you. Basically, to come and get him to pick me up and take me home. And as the front door opened, I could just see through the crack before I was scooped into the front room. Could see my mum's leg on the staircase, and she'd taken an overdose. I mean, she was okay, but now I can't explain that. I didn't have any idea that she would do that. So yeah, that's weird. So
That's quite the premonition.
yeah. I mean, it's not deja vu, is
No,
it?
it's not deja vu, but it is.
But it's a
Yeah.
premonition, I think.
Yeah.
But so yeah, do you think I could tell like fortunes and tents and stuff with a weird like headscarf?
Yeah,
on?
because comedy doesn't pay, so
No, it doesn't pay me. So
it doesn't pay any of
I was
us.
going to say, speak for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm poor.
I had deja vu. This is why I believe. Well, not believe in deja vu. It is an experience, but the first time I ever remember having it, I was maybe about 6, and my dad asked my mum to lift over a pair of nail clippers, like tiny nail clippers, and I went, "Oh, this happened before." I said that, and I like literally it was like a snapshot, and I've always remembered that.
And what did they say?
I mean, like, oh, that's deja vu. That was the introduction to it, but it was just like, oh. I've happened before. Now, the reason for deja vu is meant to be like your brain sort of resets.
Yeah.
But I've had loads of weird things. I know when something's going to happen and stuff. Now you can process information and figure out, well, this outcome is going to happen if the X, Y, and Z happens, or Z for our American audiences, and so you can process that. But I've definitely walked into situations and knew what was going to happen, and I'm not that astute. I'm a very confused person.
No, I think you are astute. I think you
Yeah.
don't realise how astute you are.
Yeah, it's all bouncing around in your
Um,
brain. It's your dreams that make sense of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's real life that's the hard
Oh
part.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
no matter what I do, I'm like, oh, I'm here, like confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but it's definitely weird things like that have happened, where I know when someone's going to say something. You know, like I'm a big. No, doesn't happen so much now with mobile phones, cell phones, but definitely when I had a landline, I always knew it was going to ring, always, like always. Oh, it's going to ring.
Yeah,
and,
that's
and
weird.
I did it with housemates of mine. When I first moved to London, I lived at.
I mean, in
Tower
fairness, with early home computers, we all know when the phone was about to ring.
Oh yeah, because but I was like, oh, that the phone.
Yeah. Right.
I would go, the phone's going to ring, and maybe I was hearing something, but my hearing's not particularly good.
Yeah.
Because I'm from Northern Ireland and I was in a bomb blast when I was very young. So like seriously, but like I would always say, oh, the phone's going to ring, and my housemate go, what are you talking about? And then it would ring.
Oh, that is that's quite spooky.
Yeah,
It
but
is.
it wasn't just me. Or I'm half remember that was like all the time.
Yeah.
Theatrical frameworks. While time slips are generally regarded as pseudo-scientific, they align with some speculative theories within the realm of physics. Concepts like wormholes and Einstein-Rosen bridges, though theoretical and unproven, are often invoked in discussions about potential pathways for time travel. However, it is essential to differentiate between scientific theories and the anecdotal nature of time slip accounts. The enigma of time slips persists as an intriguing aspect of the human experience, blending elements of mystery, imagination, and a yearning to transcend the boundaries of temporal existence. Whether dismissed as products of perception or embraced as glimpses into the extraordinary, time slips remain firmly within the realm of anecdote and speculation. As we continue to explore the frontiers of science and consciousness, the allure of time slips will likely endure, inviting contemplation on the nature of time and the boundaries of our understanding. And that is true, isn't it? Like, despite the fact that we have incredible technology that we didn't have 100 years ago, like the Versailles incident, these don't stop coming, right? People still report.
Well, that's why CERN exists. I blame CERN for all this.
Oh, in Switzerland, right? Yeah.
That's time travel. Yeah.
There you go. Sallyann, would you like to look into this camera and tell people where they can find you, what you're doing, everything you'd like to promote?
Wow. Okay. My next gigs are all at Sallyann Comedy, no E on the Anne, on Instagram. So I have a show called Sallyann, as I've already bored you about.
And you've seen Sallyann, haven't you?
Yeah, Sallyann's great. I've seen 4 work in progress of it.
Yeah, it
and
keeps changing.
Yeah, it's always exciting. You're just a great comedian, Sallyann.
Thank you.
You're so funny, and your point of view is so unique, and I love seeing you on stage.
Thank you.
Go and see Sallyann.
Yeah.
And go and see these guys as well, because they're great and they're funny.
Would you like a time travel joke to end the podcast?
Yes, I would.
Okay. I bumped into a very good friend who's a fellow member of my time traveling club. We go back years.
Oh, very good.
That's the end of the podcast. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Please like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. The more lovely subscribers we get, the more episodes we'll make. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok for regular updates and exclusive videos at believeconspiracypod. We love you. Bye.